Welcome back, everybody. This right here is the Corsair K95 RGB Platinum Mechanical Gaming Keyboard, Corsair's flagship gaming keyboard, so to speak, coming in at a hefty $200. And of course, we'll be giving one away. All you gotta do to win is 1, subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell, 2, like the video, and 3, comment something interesting down below. And when the video reaches 5,000 likes, I'll announce the winner in a comment down below. So starting with an overview, it's got mostly a black appearance, obviously other than the LED backlighting, but I'll talk more about that later. We actually have an included wrist rest, which is pretty interesting because it snaps in, and then this part of the wrist rest, the actual pad, is removable and has 2 different sides. There's more of a smooth rubberish side and then more of a textured rubber side. I personally prefer the smooth, but it's an interesting feature to have there. It's magnetic, that's how you can just take it off and flip it around. Interesting addition. There's a very thick braided cable coming out with 2 different USB connections. There's the one to power the keyboard itself, and then a pass-through, and you can see that pass-through port right back there actually. And then going around on the back, we have 2 raised feet with rubber bottoms, good to see that. And then we have some cable routing with some very small cable routing, actual like dents. You can only fit small cables in there, but that's if you're like routing a mouse wire or a USB cable or something like that that's thin, you can route it through those routes. Moving on to build quality, this thing is unrivaled in terms of build quality. The whole top is covered in this beautiful black brushed aluminum panel that looks and feels absolutely amazing and gives it some heft. That's pretty nice. The back casing is a strong black plastic, but that's okay because it's on the underside. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the wrist rest is made out of some nice materials. The actual rest itself feels very good and rubberish and good. And then the actual wrist rest that goes under this pad is just a strong piece of plastic. Build quality on this keyboard is absolutely top notch. In terms of layout, like the normal layout area of the normal full-size keyboard is totally normal. They didn't mess with anything. However, when we go over to the left side, we can see we have 6 programmable macro keys that you can program to your choosing with a textured finish. And then up top on the left side, we have a user profile dedicated key, a brightness control dedicated key, and a Windows lock dedicated key. And then moving all the way to the right, we have some dedicated media keys, as well as probably one of the best scroll wheels I've ever felt. That was weird. Then moving on to keycaps, are some pretty standard ABS keycaps. I definitely would have preferred to see PBT, especially at the price point. And the font on these is interesting to say the least. It's very big, it's very sharp and aggressive. I don't love it, but it definitely fits like the gamer appeal they're going for. But they do include some textured keys to put on the WSD keys or the EDWRQF keys. If that's your thing, I'm gonna go ahead and put the WSD keys on, you know, just for fun. That's what I do for fun. They definitely have this sort of angle. Actually, that's going to be interesting in how it types, but I'm going to leave them on for the typing test later because with the bigger angles, it definitely will be different. But if this is primarily a gaming keyboard, I imagine most gamers would have those installed, so I'll leave them on. Then moving on to LEDs, this is probably one of the best features of this keyboard. Of course, we have the standard customizable RGB backlighting with some software that you can do presets or completely per key customization and all that type of stuff. But what makes this keyboard special in the lighting department is up here. And as you can definitely see it very well on the camera from this angle, there's this entire light bar with a bunch of zones that looks really phenomenal, and then the Corsair logo is also lit up under that light bar. And while it seems like it would be a small addition to put a light bar up there, it really ties together all of the backlighting that's going on and adds like another dimension to the backlight. I really like it. And then moving on to switches, under here are Cherry MX speed switches, and if you don't know what speed switches are, they're similar to Reds in that they're linear, but their actuation is only 1.2 millimeters. So theoretically, they're kind of like the epitome of switches for gaming because they have that linear stroke, and the actuation is really short, so you can press it really quickly. For me personally, it wouldn't be the best switch in the world because I do a lot more typing in general than gaming, so I would prefer a switch with like a tactile bump, whether it be blues or browns or any like offset from those. However, I definitely see the appeal of the MX speed switches. I just think that'll make a lot more errors in the type racer that we do, just because there's no bump to really let me know when I'm actuating. But we'll see. Speaking of type racers, what type of MS Tech video would this be without a typing test? So I've loaded up Type Racer. I will point the mic at the keyboard so you can hear the speed switches, and let's do this. All right, 102 words per minute. It's actually pretty good for typing. I mean, when I started making mistakes, it would spiral into badness because of how light they are. But when I wasn't making mistakes because of how light the keys were, I was able to type really fast. Conclusion time. This keyboard is in a league of its own. This is for the people, the gamers, with a big budget that want every advantage they can get and want a super well-rounded, top-of-the-line gaming mechanical keyboard. And the K95 Platinum 100% does deliver that. You're not going to get this over a $50 mechanical keyboard or a $60 mechanical keyboard. You know you want this if you're going to get this. And it does a lot to justify the $200 price. You see this in every industry. The top of the line products will be disproportionately more expensive than the cheaper products because they're so unique and there aren't that many available. So if you have the budget and you want the best of the best, the K95 Platinum is probably the best of the best. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more content. And as always, stay classy.
Wow.